May 26, 2026. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. There was no economic news to really move the market. This is yesterday. It was Memorial Day, and although the market, at least the futures market, was open briefly, I didn't really trade it. And then this is how the chart looked like today. Looked like it pretty much just moved sideways, maybe a small drop and then continuing the sideways. Now, from Friday, technically to today, there was this big, well, yesterday as well, there's this big gap up. Yesterday, it just rallied for that short period. Today, it sold off, and I was wondering if it was going to come back down to this gap, and it kind of did, but didn't really do anything other than that. So besides the no economic data, it was kind of a really slow day. I did take one trade, and it was a really bad setup. And in the moment, I kind of got lured in, ended up breaking some discipline, and it ended up being a winning trade, but it was a poor setup, and I'll get to it when I get there. Pre-market looked like it was a spike down, break, tested low, sideways consolidation, kind of a second leg down, one leg, one small leg pullback, and then this is kind of where the big actual move starts. It moves up, break, looks like it was two legs down, back, two legs up, and then right at the open, it kind of flushes down. I don't know if he really considers two legs or not, but it was just a push down. Pushes down, kind of pretty much matches the pre-market low, pushes up, break, test the high. There's no real setups here. It's a localized high. There's a first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long here, and a second entry long failure. I saw this in real time, but it's not really a safe trade of any kind because it's very congested. EMA isn't very reliable, and as a matter of fact, the EMA isn't too reliable for most of the day. There were a few areas that it could have been reliable, like right here where I thought there was an almost trade, and maybe right here where I thought there was another almost trade. So it moves, pushes down, hits a localized bottom, pushes up on the screen, up channel break, test the high, and it kept going. So initially I thought it was a screen up channel, then I drew it as this blue up channel, reaches the highs, hits this area that looked like is an area of resistance. I saw this because it's actually a double top right here. And I thought, okay, well, this looks like a first entry long pullback, maybe a second entry long, but again, it's just an arrow. There's no markings of a trade here because even if you did try to take a trade in real time, I'd be buying into this potential resistance area because this is the first time it tried, well, it broke through here. It had trouble here, had trouble three other times previously. So that's not a very convincing setup. Plus, it's a little ambiguous. It looks like it was sloping up, break. Technically has tested the high if I was trading off this blue up channel, but it was just a little bit unclear what was really going to happen. It pushes up and it gives you this first possible trade. So whether it's in this gray range or not, clearly there's some kind of resistance here, and it does look like it's starting to act as support. It's a localized high. I saw it as the first entry long, pullback, second entry long. I actually thought this was a possible trade because the EMA is starting to act as support. Previously, it was neither support or resistance. Prices were just kind of ignoring it. Here, it looks like it's moving one big leg up. Technically, I thought it was two legs, but I also thought it was kind of a bullish move up. There was no real clean channel to contain any of this because this is just too wide, too much empty space. But here, looks like it's a break of this orange down channel. It's tested low. It could make a second attempt down. Now, I thought at the time there's multiple bounces off the support. EMA is holding, really nice signal bar, looking for at least a 6-tick scalp, and there is enough room for 6-tick scalp. But as it plays out, it ends up working, and I thought back in hindsight, so in the moment I didn't take the trade, but I thought it was a possible trade. But as soon as this one opens and closes, I thought, okay, well, this actually turns out to be a really poor trade. And as prices kept going, I would have survived and likely gotten the scalp right here, but I had to sit through this heat. And then my stop would have been down here. So it does feel like this break of this orange could make a second leg down. So it felt like it wasn't the best setup after all, but in real time, which is what I'm basing it off of, I think I would have been a possible trade for me. But in hindsight, it looks a little more aggressive. Prices move up, and it starts flushing down. Looks like this orange down channel break, then it continues downwards. So I had to kind of treat it as a two, like I guess two leg overlapping channel. Again, I tried to make something fit, but nothing really super clean fit that looked correct. So I treated this as move down. Market tried to figure itself out, then it continued moving down. What looked like this really nice setup or this really nice channel. So it hits this localized bottom. There is a potential triple test here. One touch, two touch, three touch. But based on the strength of this move down, this overshoot on a larger time scale, I was expecting a potential overshoot here. So when I saw this, I saw this localized low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Initially, I had this green down channel tighter. So I had something like this. Actually, have it even earlier than that. I had something like this, but then broke out, kept going, dragged to here, broke out, kept going. Eventually matched it up here, and it looked pretty correct. And the low side also fit much nicer. But I thought, even though there's a small overshoot here, there was a possible setup, in my opinion, here as like a localized low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. I like that the signal bar and trigger bar move one tick above this guy, then engulfed it completely with a rejection off this green down channel resistance. Technically, it didn't really quite touch, but it's close enough to touch rejection off this EMA. I thought it was a possible trade here, at least for a 6-tick scalp. Push this down, it would have worked. There's a cleaner overshoot here. Reverses up on this orange up channel, break, makes a second leg up. So I thought, okay, there's two legs up here, and it exceeds it. Exceeds it to the high, and then it looks like it's moving down. I thought it was two legs as well. It didn't quite make the measured move. And then actually sets up for my one and only trade, which I'll admit it was lucky that I got a profitable trade off of this very mediocre, like low probability setup. But in real time, this is what I was thinking. I was thinking, man, I missed the setup here. This one was a little more iffy. And I thought I saw two legs. I saw one leg was something a little bit tighter. One leg break, second leg. And I even drew it with this measured leg thing. It's starting to reverse. So I saw it's like a first entry long pullback, second entry long pullback, pushes back up. And I thought if it breaks above here, I want to enter this trade. So I had an order ready as this was figuring itself out. I had an order one tick above these two, thinking there'd be enough momentum for 6-tick scalp. Now that's not a very clear or good justification to take a trade, but that's the justification I used. I entered. I had to sit through this because my stop was actually below these two. So I think the total risk was 3.75 and I was going for 6 ticks. So the risk reward isn't that great. But at the time, I convinced myself that this is going to move up. I was concerned when I saw this candle, and it pushes up and I get the 6-tick scalp. Now in hindsight, yeah, this wasn't a good trade. It's kind of an ambiguous area. It is choppy. And I was thinking, if I was, so this is almost trade setup here. If I was thinking of taking a trade, there's a poor reason to take it here. This isn't the best reason to take it here as well, but this is a better poor reason. Sounds, I don't know, kind of a little bit weird to say, but it feels like this is a better justification because it's like low, localized low, first entry short, second entry short, engulfing this one, and it's a failure. This is, and I'm not too worried about the EMA. This is kind of a better setup to have taken. So if I wanted to risk a crappy trade, it should have been on this one, not this one. But just by coincidence, I was lucky it worked out. I was able to get a trade. But I don't discount the fact that this is a really iffy setup. Then I do mention, or I noted there was a potential, an almost trade failed second entry long here, because maybe there's a triple test here, but it looks A little bit not clean because you could also have the range a little lower here. Nonetheless, I thought there was almost trade here, but I just didn't really like it. Pushes down. Looks like it's two legs up. And I was thinking, was there a higher low here? Technically, it's a first entry short, second entry short, second entry short fails here, and then you do have a higher low made from two candles here. What would have been a better setup is if this candle ticked below this guy, then reversed up, and then there's too much tail here because technically it did reach a high here, and I'd be worried to try to take a trade, maybe hit some kind of resistance here. Plus, it's already two legs up. I'm not that confident it's going to make another big push up because it already made two measured legs. So just something I noticed in real time. Nothing to act on though. Moves to the high, kind of consolidates sideways, pushes down. Looks like it was moving down this orange down channel. First entry long pullback, second entry long, terrible signal bar. Continuing down. This blue one kind of reminded me of this orange one. It could be two legs, but it also could be seen as one cleaner leg down. Difference is this orange one does look truly like more of a cleaner leg down here. And this actually looks like two legs constituting this one leg here. So this being a wider channel really doesn't matter unless there's more confirmations and more further price action moving down. So it hits a localized low, starts reversing back up, new low, first entry short, second entry short failure. Nothing setting up really nicely here. Break above this green up channel. And I tried to think of extending this to here, but it doesn't quite look right. So I kind of left it here and then I made the channel a little bit more shorter, but then I just kind of left this alone because I was kind of honestly not thinking much was going to happen. And it actually turns out much didn't happen. Because just the last 30 minutes of the day, overall day and volume had been kind of slow. So I'm not sure if people are still coming out of vacation or there's just nothing happening, nothing really happening. And there's no real news items coming out as well. Plus, the total effective trading range was arguably just 755 to about 75.20. So it's really only 35 points of movement over a very short span. So the volatility was just really low. So I was fortunate to get that one trade and was profitable, knowing that it was a really iffy setup and the justification I used to take it wasn't really fully vetted. It wasn't a really good trade. So knowing that, at least I'm not at least confusing with like, oh, I was lucky. I made a really good trade or whatnot. So I do know it was a poor trade. Better setups. This one is also a little bit riskier. And then this one I think was probably the only decent trade that was maybe worth taking. So hopefully that was helpful.